All right, everybody. So here's where we are. This is part 2 of deriving the quadratic formula. Before we move on, let's see, why did we complete the square? We completed the square because we're trying to solve for x. That's our goal. And if you saw it a minute ago, when we had our quadratic equation, we had an x squared and an x. By completing the square, that x squared and that x are now just an x, which is good because we're trying to solve for that x in the first place. Notice there are no other x's anywhere else. So the completing the square took the x's that were in two different terms, one of them being squared, one of them being just an x, and it turned it into just this x to the first power, which is what we want. Now let's get the squared polynomial all by itself on the left side. Left side, we're talking about, of course, the equation here. So we're going to subtract, we're going to add b squared over 4a squared on the right side, and we're going to subtract c over a on the right side. So that leaves us with quantity x plus b over 2a squared is equal to positive b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. Okay? Okay, now it says make a 4a squared common denominator on the right side over here and combine terms on the right side. All right, this is going to be a little weird. Looks like the left side's not going to change. We'll just leave that like this. Boom, 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 boom. Squared, okay, equals. B squared over 4a squared already has a 4a squared denominator, right? But now we want a 4a squared denominator in this term. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. Okay, here's what we can do. We have an a, we don't have an a squared. But if we multiply this a by a, I can multiply the denominator of a fraction by a as long as I multiply the numerator by a. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by a, and I'm going to multiply the denominator by a. And that becomes a squared. I don't like how I wrote my squared. It looks like a z, so okay, it's a little better. Okay, why does this work? Because if there are two factors of a here and a factor of a here, then these a's will cross cancel, and it'll just leave an a in the denominator, which is perfect. And you can do the same exact thing with the 4. Now we want a 4. If I put a 4 in the numerator and the denominator, the 4's would cross cancel. So I haven't changed anything. I've just multiplied both the numerator and the denominator by 4. The 4's would cross cancel. One of the factors of a would cross cancel. This is just c over a in disguise. Why did we do this? Because now we have a common denominator and we can combine common denominators. So I'm now going to write this as keep the denominator, 4a squared, and subtract the numerator, b squared minus, or numerators, 4ac. All right, cool. What's our goal again? We're solving for this guy right here, x. So what do you think the next step is? That's right, the next step is to take the square root of both sides and simplify the right side. So if I go square root, I'm using this cool blue color, I guess. Okay, I didn't mean to do that, but that's the way it worked out. Okay, if I take the square root of both sides, right, what's going to happen is I'm going to get, my pen has fully stopped working. Okay, x plus b over 2a. Now the squared has gone away, right? The squared's gone. So I don't even need those parentheses. I can just get rid of those parentheses, but I'll come back to that. Equals, and then using this is the quotient property of square roots. You get the square root of b squared minus 4ac over the square root of 4a squared. Okay, I'm going to drop these parentheses now and try to simplify this right side a little more. X plus b over 2a is equal to, these are terms, we don't have like a difference property of square roots. That doesn't exist. So we just have to leave that like this. We have no choice. We're stuck. But down here, we do have a product property of square roots. So I could write that as the square root of 4, and I'll just do it over here so you guys can see it. So instead of doing it in a million steps in the actual problem, we can split this into square root of 4 times the square root of a squared. Well, what's the square root of 4? It's 2. What's the square root of a squared? It's a. So this is square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay. All right, now I'm going to have to scroll down here and finish this up. Oh, it's going so slowly. You know what? I'm going to do a third video so that way I can set this all up and you guys don't have to watch me do this. All right, I'll be right back.